Hey everyone, welcome to WitCode. In this tutorial series, I'm going to be taking you from a beginner or someone with little knowledge of Sequelize or no knowledge to someone that can master Sequelize. In this video, or in the first video, I'm just going to be going over the basics of what Sequelize is and also how we can connect our database to Sequelize. So first, what is Sequelize? Well, Sequelize is a module that enables JavaScript developers to work with relational data easily. For example, instead of writing lots of SQL code to create a table, you can do it much easier with a few lines of code using Sequelize. Or instead of querying a table using something such as SQL select all from users where ID equals witcode, you can just use a function such as users.findById and then pass in witcode. Another great thing about Sequelize is that it supports many database engines, including SQL Server, SQLite, MySQL, Postgres, and MariaDB. In more scientific terms, Sequelize is an object relational mapper, or an ORM. An ORM is essentially a technique that allows you to query and manipulate data from a database in an object-oriented way. For example, you can represent a table in MySQL as an object in Sequelize and use that object's methods to interact with that table. However, of course, I believe the best way to learn about Sequelize is to put all this knowledge into practical use. So let's do that by first connecting to a database with Sequelize. But before we do any of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to initialize this as a project. So let me pull up a terminal. What I'm going to do is just npm init like this. And what this does is it creates a package.json file. And this file contains info about our project's dependencies, packages, and just other project metadata, such as the package name. I'm going to keep most of these as defaults. So version 1, description, leave blank, entry point, index.js. Keep the rest of this blank. Then let me just show you what this has done. It has just created a package.json file that will keep track of our dependencies. So then when we actually install Sequelize, you can see it here. So as Sequelize is a module, we first need to install it with Node Package Manager. So we're just going to do npm install Sequelize. And now you can see in our dependencies listed here, we have Sequelize. And this basically means this project that we have made with npm init depends on Sequelize to function properly. But anyway, as Sequelize supports several different database engines, we need to install the driver for your desired database. In this series, we're going to be using MySQL, and the module or driver you need to install this is MySQL 2. So we're going to do npm install MySQL 2. And now, even though I'm going to be using MySQL throughout this series, you can probably do the same thing with Postgres, using like pgadmin or something like that, specifically because all the commands and everything that we're going to be writing with Sequelize will essentially be the same. There are some different options you can use with other database engines, but if you are just running along parallel with a different database engine, I'm sure you'll be fine. But I'm going to be using MySQL. Specifically, we're going to be using MySQL Workbench, such as in here. And now, something we have to do, let's go back into our index.js file. Now, let's require the Sequelize module, and then we should be able to form our connection to a MySQL database of our choosing. So I'm going to do const, I'm going to call it Sequelize with a capital, and then require Sequelize like this. And then just as a note, you don't actually have to require the MySQL 2 module that we installed, as it is used internally by Sequelize. So let's go into our package.json. You can see we have MySQL 2, but we don't actually have to require it in here like const MySQL require, because this is done internally by Sequelize. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a database or a schema inside MySQL Workbench and then connect to it in our Sequelize application here. And essentially, a Sequelize or a schema in MySQL is the same thing, or it's a synonym for a database. But so what we're going to do is we're going to go up to this button here. We're going to create a new schema. So if you're using pgadmin or Postgres or something, what you would do is just you would create a new database. But so in here in MySQL, it's a schema, and we're going to call this Sequelize video. Then apply. It all looks correct. Create schema, and apply, and then finish. Now what we have to do here is we have to make sure that it's highlighted so that it knows that we are interacting with this. But so now let's go back into our program. And to connect to the schema we just made, we need to create a new instance of Sequelize and pass the required information into the constructor. And in JavaScript, it is a common convention to have the return module be capitalized if it is a constructor function. And that is why this here, Sequelize, is with a capital S. And a constructor function is essentially a function with the keyword new before it. So let me show you. So if we want to make an instance of this here, we'd usually do it in lowercase like this. You set it equal to new Sequelize. And then parentheses here, this is the constructor function. That is why we have this as a capital S. But now, the information required by this constructor function includes the name of the schema, which for us is, if you go in here, we named it Sequelize video. So in another database, it would be the name of your database. But for us, Sequelize video. And then the next is the username and password. So when I set up MySQL Workbench or MySQL on my computer, you were asked for a username and a password. And for me, of course, I made my username root. I made my password TOOR or Tor, which is just root backwards. And then finally, the final option is an options object. And this options object is essentially how we can customize our connection. And something that we need to specify in here is the dialect. And the dialect depends on the database engine that you are using. For example, we're using MySQL, so we need to specify the dialect as MySQL. And of course, to do this, you just use the key dialect. And then in a string, because I'm using MySQL, it would just be MySQL. If you're using Postgres, it's just Postgres like this. But so we're using MySQL. And this is once again because Sequelize can work with many different database engines. And that is why you have to specify the dialect. And then another thing is we can also there are a lot of different options that you can paste in here, but we are going to use just the dialect one. You can use, for example, the host. By default, I believe it's localhost, so we don't need it. And then port, I think for MySQL, the default port is 3306. You have to check for a different one, but it should default, I believe, if you specify the dialect to the port number that you are using. And now let's just check if we have successfully connected to our database. And this can be done with the authenticate function. So the way to do that is just do Sequelize.authenticate. And it should be noted this authenticate function right here returns a promise. And I'm going to be assuming that you know what a promise is for this series because we're going to be using this a lot, but essentially a promise is just a task that will be completed at some time in the future. For example, this connection will not be established right away, but at some point in the future. So while this connection is attempting to be established, other things in our application could be running. And then when this actual promise resolves, or when this function or whatever task we want to do that maybe takes a little bit of time finishes, we can check if it was successful or if it was unsuccessful based on a callback. And so if it is successful, we use something called then, and you pass it a function. And I'm using the arrow syntax in here, and we can just log saying connection successful, like this. And then if it was an error, then it will call this function here. And it always takes, you can always pass in the error here to actually log out what the error is. But we can say error connecting to database. And then we could also log the error to give us more information. But we know what it would be now, and we're just going to write down that there was an error connecting to the database. But so essentially this means is this takes a bit of time to complete. So it's going to go, and then if it was successful, it'll log connection successful. And if not, it won't. And just to show you, just to give you a good idea of promises before we start this tutorial series, because we are going to be using this a lot, is say, let me just write here another task. And then if we run this program first, we can see if it's successful, but then also watch the order of which these are listed. So let's run this by using node, of course, node index.js. And you can see another task was completed before this. And also our connection was successful. So that means this information that we provided here allowed us to successfully connect to this schema in here. But anyway, you can see this came first because this task is basically, it returns a promise, so it might take a bit of time to complete. So let's just wait for that to do its thing and run and do this in the meantime. And also something you might see in the documentation is they use async and await. We're not going to be using that. We're going to be using then and catch because you can only use those in a function. And of course we can make functions, or you can only use the await keyword in asynchronous functions. But of course, we're not going to be using functions, so we're just going to be using this. So for example, we could do like async function, my function, and then we could do like await Sequelize dot authenticate, and then we could log connection successful. And then instead of doing this, we could just call my function, and it should be the same thing. So let's try this out. Another task, executing, and then connection successful. So you might see this await and async or await keywords a lot, but we are mainly just going to be using then, which is essentially the same thing. It's just a different way of writing promises. And so sorry if that was a more of a crash course on promises than you were expecting. I just want to make sure you know that you get that down because we're going to be doing a lot of these then and catch statements in this when we're working with Sequelize. But in the next video, I'm going to be going over models, which are essentially just used to represent tables in our database. So I'll see you in the next video.